So we are approaching a case of fracture neck of femur. We expect that you have done a complete history taking and examination, and we ask you the diagnosis. We ask you the question, what is your diagnosis? So as soon as we ask you this question, you answer that this is a case of fracture neck of femur, right side, in a lady aged 65 years. So now we ask you, why do you say so? So you say that there is history of fall, there is pain, swelling, deformity, loss of function around hip, and the main loss of function here is cannot raise the limb in air, and then you say that on examination there is a flexion, adduction, internal rotation deformity with true shortening above the trochanter, as evidenced by those 4 tests: the Brandt's triangle, the Shoemaker's line, the Nellton's line, and the Shinese parallelogram. There is tenderness in Scarpa's triangle. The trochanter is neither thickened nor tender, and you have only a partial adduction, external rotation deformity. Now these 3 signs say that it is not trochanteric fracture, because trochanteric fracture also presents with exactly the same picture. But the differential diagnosis, if they ask you, then what is your differential diagnosis? Differential diagnosis, trochanteric fracture. Then they say, why not that? Then you can say that the tenderness is in the Scarpa's triangle. The trochanter is neither thickened nor tender, and there is partial external rotation deformity. This is because in the head of femur, which is here, and here is your trochanter, the capsule is attached here like this. So if the fracture is in the neck, this capsule, the anterior capsule, will not allow complete external rotation of the distal fragment. But if the fracture is here, then of course this fragment can completely externally rotate. So partial external rotation deformity indicates a fracture neck of femur. Then if the case is old, the trochanteric fracture will malunite, but a fracture neck of femur will either not unite without operative treatment, or there will be avascular necrosis, there will be osteoporosis, there will be osteoarthritis. So non-union avascular necrosis, osteoporosis and osteoarthritis are complications of fracture neck of femur, and malunion is a complication of trochanteric fracture. So we have gone to what is your diagnosis, why do you say so, any differential diagnosis, why not that, and then we go on to how would you investigate. And when we say that, you say to assess the general condition of the patient, hemoglobin, TLC, DLC, ESR, hemoglobin, TLC, DLC, ESR, GBP, BT, CT, blood urea, blood sugar, urine and stool. Then you may have to investigate for comorbidities. And here you may have to investigate for X-ray of the chest and electrocardiogram and BP charting and urine output. And of course you have looked for blood urea and creatinine levels. So sodium, potassium, all these electrolyte imbalances can occur because the patient is old and because he or she has to urinate with the help of a pot in the bed. Therefore they stop drinking water and meals, and there may be dehydration and hyponatremia and hypokalemia. So you look for comorbidities, then you image the fracture. And in the image of the fracture, if this is the anterior spine, anterophilic spine, pectineal eminence, notch for artery vein nerve, pubic tubercle, pubic crest, the picture of the pelvis, and here is the head, the neck, the trochanter, the lesser trochanter and the femur. Then in the image, the first thing you answer is there a fracture? And there is a fracture if there is break in cortex. And the cortex is broken when the Shenton's line from the obturator foramen to the neck, if this Shenton's line is broken, you look at the Shenton's line. Then you say what is the level of fracture. So it can be subcapital, it can be transcervical, it can be basal. Subcapital, transcervical, and basal. Then you say what is the angle of fracture. Now this angle is called as Powell's angle. And this Powell angle is that you draw a line connecting the upper borders of the acetabulum of the two sides, and then you draw the line of the fracture. This is the Powell's angle between these two lines. Now if this Powell's angle is vertical, then the muscle force which is acting parallel to the shaft of femur and the weight that is acting like this will cause a shearing stress. This will cause a shearing stress. The shaft femur will go up and the weight will go down, and that will cause a shearing stress. But if the Powell's angle is less, that means horizontal. If the Powell's angle is less than 30, that means the fracture is horizontal. Then this muscle force and the weight will produce impaction at the fracture. So Powell's angle more than 30 to 70 and above 70. Less than 30 to 70 and more than 70. So you basically classify by the Powell's angle whether the fracture is horizontal, where the muscle force and weight will produce a compression, or whether it is vertical. So this is vertical, right? Then finally you talk about the Gardner's classification. The Gardner's classification is incomplete. That means only one cortex broken. Then there is complete. That means both the lower and the upper cortex is broken. And this complete can be classified into not displaced, partially displaced, or completely displaced. So when the fracture is partially displaced, supposing this is the fracture and it is partially displaced, so this will hinge on the head of the femur and rotate the head. It will hinge on the head of the femur, the fracture on the head of the femur, and it will rotate the head in relation to the acetabulum, so the head trabeculae are not aligned with the acetabular trabeculae. So this means when the acetabular trabeculae and the head trabeculae are not aligned, it means that the head is rotated and the fracture is partially displaced. So supposing there is complete displacement, there will be no hinging and the head will be derotated, and the head trabeculae and the acetabular trabeculae will realign. So that is the difference between partially displaced and completely displaced fracture neck of femur as per the Gardner's classification. To summarize, is there a fracture? Yes, if the Shenton's line is broken. What is the level of fracture? Subcapital, transcervical or basal. What is the Powell's angle? Less than 30, 30 to 70 or above 70. That means whether the fracture is horizontal or vertical. Then the Gardner's classification, which is incomplete, complete, not displaced, partially displaced and completely displaced. And finally, you have to comment about the posterior cortex. For example, if the posterior cortex is broken, if this is the neck of femur, look, you are looking from above, this is the anterior cortex and this is the posterior cortex, and if this posterior cortex is comminuted, then the reduction will not be stable and it is better to replace the proximal fragment of the fracture. So the first thing is there a fracture? What is the level of fracture? What is the Powell's angle? What is it according to the Gardner's classification? And whether the posteromedial cortex is intact or disrupted. Then in old cases, you can comment on avascular necrosis, which means sclerosis of the head in relation to the rest of the upper end of femur. Osteoarthritis, which means that the acetabulum has osteophytes because there is secondary osteoarthritis, and osteoporosis. So you look for non-union avascular necrosis, osteoarthritis and osteoporosis in old cases of fractured neck of femur in the X-ray of the pelvis, AP view with both hips in identical position. Right. Besides this, you also try to evaluate the rehab potential of the patient. How much is he going to cooperate in the post-operative period? And you look at dementia, you look for blindness or vision, and you look for general weakness and breath affecting problems. And one important thing that you must look for is the prostate. So these are the things that will decrease the rehabilitation potential of the patient. Now, how would you treat? Fresh, reducible. Reduce and retain in a child by pins, two types, novels or Austin Moores, which should not cross the growth plate. In an adult, by DHS, and this adult is less than 65 years of age. Now, if it is fresh, not reducible, you reduce here by closed reduction. So, if it is not reducible, you do open reduction and bone grafting. So this bone graft can be fibula or it can be a muscle pedicle based bone graft, and there are two muscles which you can use, the quadratus femoris or tensor fascia lata. So if of course the age is less than 65 years. An alternative is if posterior cortex is comminuted, then you do a subtrochanteric osteotomy, which can be to make vertical fracture horizontal by valgus angulation. Supposing this is the head of the femur, this is the neck, and this is the upper end, and the fracture is vertical like this, it is vertical. Supposing we do an osteotomy here, which is a valgus osteotomy, then the forces of muscle will become like this, and the weight will be like this, and it will cause compression of the fracture. So a valgus osteotomy in the subtrochanteric region can convert a shearing force, into a compression force. So this is called as a geometric osteotomy, and you want to decrease the Powell's angle as less than 30 degrees. So one thing is a subtrochanteric valgus osteotomy. Of course, all these things are less than 65 years of age. Now, in case there is avascular necrosis, you replace the head of femur. In case there is osteoarthritis, you do a total hip replacement. So this is bipolar. If there is osteoporosis, you do a cement fixation. And always in femur, cement fixation is better than non-cement fixation. If there is osteoarthritis, you do a total hip replacement. And if you can do neither of these because the cost is prohibitive, then you do an excisional arthroplasty. You may do it because the patient is poor. Otherwise, you do, and with excisional arthroplasty, there is instability and Trendelenburg gait and shortening because you excise the head and you have a neck. So if you want to stabilize it, this is the acetabulum, this is the ischial tuberosity. At the level of the ischial tuberosity, you can do a pelvic support osteotomy, and this pelvic support osteotomy with excisional arthroplasty is called as Milch-Bachelor's operation. So when you can't do a THR because of osteoporosis, because of a poor patient, because he needs squatting activity, then you can do an excisional arthroplasty with pelvic support osteotomy, and this is called as the Milch-Bachelor's operation. So this is preparatory to your facing the exam. Now, best of luck for the Monday exam. Let's see what you can remember out of this. Thank you.